Hi, welcome to Far From Eden. Good to have you here. It just seems like more and more men are realizing that there are no women out there that they want to have relationship with. I keep hearing over and over again the phrase, the juice isn't worth the squeeze. And it makes sense. And honestly, it's fair. They are allowed to have their preferences. They're allowed to have expectations. They are allowed to. Society doesn't say so. Women don't say so. But what's interesting is while the men are realizing from every generation, Gen Z and unfortunately the older men are realizing it sort of because of what's been done to them. But the younger generations can see from what their parents went through and what the older generations went through, and they're not dumb. They see what's out there. They're not looking to find a wife in the club. That's not the case. And women still don't seem to realize that men put women in categories. And the women that are for recreational purposes only are not generally the wives. So, but what are the women realizing? Some of them are getting a clue. I'm being very generous with that. Some of them, really not like microscopic, but by and large, they're blaming the men. They're saying that y'all are toxic or accusing you of not even liking women or wanting to be controlling. It's all this other stuff. They want to make you guys the problem. Meanwhile, they're not happy and they're not getting what they want. They're determined to try to convince all of us that you can be hot at 60 or 50 or 40. Come on. No, they did 20-year-old, 25-year-olds, maybe 30 if she's taking good care of herself and can pass. But at the end of the day, you're not as fertile. And men who get married or have long-term or want to have a long-term committed relationship with a woman, like forever, maybe they don't want the government contract, but if they want that marriage situation, it's for children. Because what else would they want it for? What else would they need it for? And women don't understand that. And we actually talked a little bit about that on yesterday's video, which thank you guys so much for the support for that video and for forgiving me for not being able to stay up late enough to be in the chat. I'm going to try for tonight. Yeah, so Man Reacts has put together a great video, as he always does. I haven't watched it yet, but I have seen the title and I've seen like a teeny tiny little bit of the beginning, so I know it's good. He always is. So he's my go-to for finding out what's going on out there and what these women are saying straight from their mouths. That's the other thing that's so funny is these women, they put themselves on TikTok and they say I would be embarrassed to say the things they say and claim. So yeah, without further ado, let's get a look at what these women are saying and just shake my head, like, so stubborn. A lot of us women just stand in the way of our own contentment and then complain about it and blame others because so many of us are just allergic to accountability and don't understand that consequences generally follow bad decisions and actions. But you got to stop raising girls and spoiling them. All right.
Rewalking away from dating and marriage because the women aren't worth the effort.
A shocking new claim about the falling marriage rate is raising a lot of questions right now. A new study says the reason fewer people are getting married is because there's a shortage of, quote, economically attractive men.
Okay. We're going to reference Homath again. He made the clear video, and it's true. Women wanted equal pay. It's not equal pay because they don't do equal work, but they wanted equal pay anyway. And guess what? They started getting it. And then they wanted to be promoted. You know, they wanted to be girl bosses, so they wanted to be promoted. So guess what? They got promoted. So they got the jobs instead of the men. They got the raises instead of the men. They're out earning men, not necessarily because they have earned it. And now they're complaining because they don't have men that earn more than they do, because women usually want men who earn more than they do. Well, girlfriends, you've taken all of that. It's very simple. It's mathematical, but math is hard for some of us.
This question all the time. You complain about men, but are you being the type of a woman that a man would want? Right? Maybe in the instant when men are not thinking with their big heads and they're saying, oh, whoa, she's half naked, great, I'm going to go for it. Yeah. That might be what a man wants. But long term, that's not what a man wants. A man doesn't want a girl that's just going to be naked all the time and put herself out there available for every man to see. You know, that I don't have to be a man to know that that's not what men want. So then you say men suck. I'm looking at you going, I'm not a dude. I wouldn't date you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Again, self-perpetuating problem. Not enough women calling out the fact that women are not desirable right now, in my opinion, right? They're sexually desirable, but I wouldn't want to take you home to mom desirable.
What is not a
Yeah, they're not desirable as wives. And as I've said before, to find a wife or a long-term, a woman for a long-term relationship, you have to find her and she's already a wife. She already thinks like one. She already dresses like one. Wives don't go to the club. Wives don't do those sorts of things. I know it makes it harder for you guys because you're like, well, how am I supposed to meet them? Yeah, well, and are there any to meet? But I'd say a lot of men now are realizing that it's better to just walk away than to, you know, hitch your wagon to one of these chicks who's, you know, to use an old term, loose. We don't, you know, you don't want that. Men don't want that. And you don't have to take it. I think a lot of other generations, maybe millennials, some Gen Xers, a lot of those men thought, well, I guess this is what I have to choose from. And I think now they're like, you know what? I don't have to choose. I can just choose me and make the best of that. And that's much better route for men to take. And it's like going on strike until conditions improve.
address today is the freeing of men from the responsibilities of doing a job for 35, 40 years, which is likely some type of servitude, to fulfill providing their indentured support system, a mortgaged house, vehicles, vacations, besides heat, electricity, food, and clothing for a wife and children. Men freed from this traditional role can choose to pursue whatever gives them purpose and makes them happy. The old conventional role for men as the family man is a life-sapping trap also, while the new mating game has nothing on offer for men from women other than casual get-lucky hookups and STRs, what used to be called a summer fling. Men have left not just the new plantation, but the old traditional one as well, thanks to feminism also emancipating men. If a woman needs or wants a man, they had better up their offer well beyond any idea they currently have, so that the occasional self-respecting man might take a deal.
That's right. Exactly. No more of this, I'm going to bring to the table that just do the laundry and do the dishes and wipe off the counter. And you're still going to have somebody coming in and doing the deep cleaning. And even if you do the cleaning yourself as a woman and you do the laundry and the dishes, which is like the day-to-day stuff, and you take the kids to school, like that's not enough. I know a lot of women out there would think, wow, but that's hard work. No, it isn't. No, it isn't. Especially not compared to what the husband is doing and the weight the husband is carrying if he's the provider, you know, and that's fine, but it needs to be worth his while. It's up to women to make it worth his while. And it's okay for the men to say, yeah, it's not worth my while. You need to be the type of woman in the role that complements the man and that he feels adds to his life in a way that's worth it. And they're realizing that this career that just sucks their soul out, you know, and runs them ragged, day in and day out and day in and day out until there's, retirement and they're too broken to do anything. For what? And as the man reacts was listing mortgage, cars, vacations. There was a time in America where mortgages weren't the thing. Multiple cars weren't the thing. The idea of every year a vacation. Why? Why do you need a vacation? You need to make your life, I know it's a cliche, but make your life something that you don't want to take a vacation from. And a lot of people in this day and age will be like, oh my God, simplify. But women don't want that. They want excess. They want luxury. They want comfort. And guess what? That does not build character, and it doesn't breed contentment either. So if it was up to the man and he could have it as a simple life in a house that they could afford and with, a smart number of vehicles and not, new and have to keep up with, I don't know, Susan from across the street who just got her brand new Tesla. You don't need a Tesla. But that has been what marriage has been for a long time, including what people would refer to as traditional marriage from, even the 1950s. Those women weren't good housewives. They were being spoiled with all the new luxurious, time-saving and labor-saving appliances. And rather than take their extra time and their extra energy and put it into something else that will help serve their family and serve their husbands, like homeschooling the children more or gardening or whatever they can do to work in and around their home for their families, they didn't do that. Instead, that just got turned into leisure time. The husband didn't get more leisure time. So yeah, it's a bum deal, even for that. It's not a good deal. And right now, if a woman hears me saying this, she's gonna think that I'm crazy and that it's it's insane to expect a woman to do all those things. But it's insane to not have expectations for half of the human population and expect one half of it to carry all the burden and all the responsibility.
Why would I get married? Why?
Yeah.
There's no actual reason to get married. It can complicate things. I have some friends that just have a woman they love and they had kids and they just didn't get married. I find them happier than those that get married.
There's something about it. I don't know what it is, but I feel like once you put the marriage title on it, there's just this
like a
added
pressure too, right? Yeah.
that like the relationship doesn't need.
Did you hear about?
Yeah, because when you do that, she has the whole power of the state behind her. Now, if you don't behave, she can take the kids, she can take the money, even the money you earned before that. She can destroy your reputation, all the things. And men know that. And I would say, what kind of woman are you if you're comfortable participating in an institution that has the ability and seems to want to do that to a man? Why would you participate in an institution where your husband knows that if you get real angry one day, it's over for him? You wouldn't do that to anybody you loved.
About this new food that like completely destroys sex drive in women?
No.
Wedding cake.
They say that marriage is a modern woman's side hustle. To divorce is to cash out on her husband's assets and half his pension, 401k, child support, and alimony. But men aren't saying no. Men are saying no to the inevitable divorce, child support, and alimony routine. The women who are fuming about this are the ones who are mad about having a pension plan through a man when she divorces him. Women are fuming because they know they'll have actually to work to generate resources to live their lives.
Does that make sense for you as far as like why divorce is inherently more risky for men?
I just feel like you're saying because women tend to be the person who initiates a divorce, correct?
Yes.
That's why it's riskier for men, but why do women tend to end divorces? And with successful men that have money, they cheat.
She said it earlier.
They do all these things that women don't want to put up with.
See, once again, we just put the blame on the men. Always. They always twist it. Always. God.
It's
So
a feeling.
why? Yeah.
Feelings change from day to day.
Yeah. So
to
I
time.
could have been in love with the person at the moment, but if that person is no longer treating me well just because we're married, I have to say no.
That's the
Because
point.
he can't be a good husband.
So as a man,
That's all I'm asking.
if I marry you and you decide, you know what, he's not the guy I thought he was anymore, I'm leaving. You take half my stuff and maybe.
So.
She just said so. The heartlessness of this woman, the heartlessness. So it's a punishment. She's admitting right there that it's a punishment. She's like, basically, she's like, if he doesn't want that to happen, then he should behave himself. God. I don't know what would happen if I ever went on one of these shows. My head would pop off. I'd be so angry.
Is there no risk with that reward?
Oh, so what?
You married me, right?
No. So once again, this is why
you wanted to marry me.
Don't want to get married.
Thought you loved me enough that it would be worth it to you to marry me and take the risk.
Hold on, stop the show. You just basically admitted it with your own words. Why guys don't get married?
They're fuming because their tickets to a life where they could spend without earning are soon going to be over.
Wow.
More men are getting their passports going overseas, so the pension plan is drying up for them. These modern-day women only quote and follow quotes that benefit them. When it comes to doing their part, they have an opinion about it and have to speak out. You can't bring up your father, grandfather, great-grandfather. They were and what they brought to the marriage. On the other hand, when women's roles are brought up, it's crickets. Additionally, women learn early that they have something men want, and they learn to manipulate men to take advantage of it. It is predatory, not more mature.
That's exactly right. And that's why the joke that that man made earlier about the food that makes women lose their drive is wedding cake. Yeah, you know why? Because they've manipulated you and they've enticed you with the hanky-panky, and now there's no need for it anymore. And so people have argued with me about women's drive, women's physical drive, and I've always said it is nowhere near what men's is. And the drive for women is mostly the attention and the validation. And she doesn't need that anymore once you're married. It's not that she was so attracted to you before and then now she's not. It's that it was to get you down the aisle. A lot of times these women will do and say whatever they need to do and be whoever they need to be to get you down the aisle. And then you're down the aisle and whoop, the mask comes off. Despicable. So man reacts is 100% right with that.
Men could be just as predatory as women, but the law and social mores clamp down heavily on men's natural tendencies.
That's
The
true.
society we're creating right now, more and more men don't want to get married. And
When I just said that's true, I meant the law and the state get right after that. I do not think that men are just as predatory as women. I don't. I think it's very different, but I think if you look at today's landscape and you look at who's taking advantage of who and who's manipulating who, I don't think women would want to, they're not going to come out good if we could tally all that up. So I just wanted to clarify. I didn't want you to think that I was saying that I think that men are predatory, because I don't. If they were, we wouldn't still have a high trust society that we have by and large. So no, the men of this country, of the United States, by and large, are not predatory. As things change here, and you guys know what I'm saying, it's looking a little more different in places like New York City, LA. Crime is going up. That's all I'll say about that.
I get why. There is almost zero upside for men getting married. This isn't me saying that men shouldn't get married, or women, but think about what society is telling men about what being a man is. How about society is fucking men hardcore for getting married. If you get married and you get divorced, a woman takes 50% of whatever you have. 80% of relationships, the man is the biggest provider. So that's a big fuck right off the bat. What are you getting in exchange for that? Second, if you have kids with her, you're fucked, because the government doesn't think that you deserve shit. So even good dads who try to stay in the kid's life are fucked. So there's a lot of men going, why the fuck would I do this? The good news is that will correct itself, because eventually then people start going, oh, right? When you create mistakes, you only create more error. Error creates more error. So we've gone so far the other direction that more and more men are going, like, why the fuck would I get married?
If we think about it, marriage was not developed or instituted by man. It was made by God, not only for procreation, but to show the beautiful relationship between a man and a woman.
I'm sorry, I have to have a little celebration for Man Reacts. Yes, I 100% agree. That is who created it and what it was created for. Aww.
The reason why things fail is because man has strayed from the God-given explanation and definition of things, and marriage is one of them. It's all about accepting the times you are living in. Older women generations accepted they were married for life and died surrounded by grandsons. The only thing that modern women have to do is to accept they're going to run successful careers and die surrounded by cats. We know what marriage could be, what it was supposed to be.
I've been doing beauty for 15 years, right? Now, when I tell men what I do for work, multiple sources have been like, that's a red flag. What?
Very simply, beauty to men is like video games to women, and people are very judgmental of things they don't understand. So just like a woman might look at a guy who plays video games and think, oh great, he's lazy, he lacks motivation, he wastes his time with pointless things. A guy might look at a woman who prioritizes beauty and think, great, she's vain, she spends too much money, she wastes her time on pointless things.
But she was saying her job was beauty, and video games are a recreation. I get that some people have a job in video games, but that's not what we're comparing. I think it's difficult for men to look at your job as being beauty, because it's not something that society needs. And women do waste in a ridiculous amount of money on all of those things, because it's gotten to a point where women are doing things, you know, with their hair and their makeup and their nails and all the rest of it that men don't like. So it's become weird and strange, and you know, the fake eyelashes and stuff, and the crazy long nails, and the, you know, weird colored troll hair. Anyway, it's all unnecessary, and I think that you guys tell me what you think. It's quite shallow. Also, if we go back to the hot crazy matrix, hairdressers and anyone named Tiffany. Sorry, it's funny.
So just like a woman who doesn't play video games might not understand the social emotional advantages of team gaming, or the literary satisfaction of a good story arc, or even just the endorphin rush of a really good match, a lot of guys don't understand how much practical science goes into beauty. It's not that guys have a zero tolerance policy for women in the beauty industry, just like most women don't have a zero tolerance policy for guys who play video games. It's only when it's your number one priority that it becomes a red flag.
We didn't change the rules of the game, and we didn't cheapen it to mean just one day to prance around in a disposable big money wedding dress either. It is this knowledge in the face of prevailing pop culture attitudes that has rendered us indifferent to the proposition of marriage. The one reason the flapping heads dance around and ignore every time the subject is brought up.
Who has it harder, men or women?
It's men by a mile in every
Really,
arena.
you truly believe that?
In every arena of life, they have it harder. I can tomorrow be unemployed, and there will be a man in my life at some point that will say, I'll look after you, whether that's my dad, my brother, or my partner. Somebody will say, if a man can absolutely hate his job, hate his appearance, have terrible relationships with his family, and not one person, no one's coming, no one's saving him.
Okay, little tiny story, just miniature story from my life. The other day, I was taking my trash out, and I have to take it down. I live in an apartment and I have to take it down a little sidewalk and down about, I think, 5 or 6 concrete steps and then around to the blue dumpster bin. It's not far. If you're new here, this is just weird, but I have multiple sclerosis. And I take my trash out myself. If it's bad, I put it on the rolly walker and we walk it down like that. My upper body's a lot stronger. Anyways, I put it on over my shoulder like this, easier to use. I'm going with my cane towards the steps, get to the top of the steps. I hadn't realized one of my neighbors from the apartment building across the way, it's like buildings with like a bunch, like 8 units in each building and around. Anyway, so he comes across the way and I didn't see him because I was focused on, not falling down and all the rest of it. And he said, hold on, let me get that. And it was commanding because he's offered help before when he was sitting outside his apartment. And I said, oh, no, thank you. I've got it because I don't want to take advantage of people. And he's an older gentleman, and I know he's had some health issues, etc. And I don't want to take advantage of him. And I don't want to lead him on in any way, shape, or form either. And I don't want to take advantage of any man. I know that women do that. And so now I'm very cognizant of it. Anyways, he said, here, let me get that. And I also know I don't want to refuse and emasculate him in any way. So I said, okay, thank you. And I gave it to him and he threw it in the trash. I thanked him very much. But my point is, nobody is offering to take his trash for him. Whereas I can barely walk out my door and everybody wants to help. And, that's not how it is for men. And I'm really aware of it. And if, God forbid, if I didn't have somebody to help me and then something did happen to me, I know that any man around would help me. You men know no one's coming to rescue you. No one's coming to save you. And the thing about me, for example, is I know that all I'd have to do is ask, and maybe not even that. And it's not fair at all. And what's really, really bad about it that I hate so much is that you men get accused of being predators, of being selfish, of all this stuff. That's not who you are. Not at all. It's not true. And at the same time, you are still being kind and generous and all the rest of it. Except that a lot of you are starting to get a little done with it and are saying, I won't help a woman now. And I don't blame you one bit.
And it's heartbreaking, yeah, because one thing I've noticed is, for me personally, if I'm forcing myself out of bed in the morning to go to work, I'll just say, I don't like this job, I'm quitting. And then I think there's men out there who have that experience all day, every day, up until they're 70 years old, and think if they don't go to work, kids don't eat. And there's women that experience that too. But the pressure on a man is completely different. Completely different.
The worst thing is that the only type of men modern women want these days are the ones who are economically and financially attractive to them. Economically attractive men? Naturally, it's not all. Those women are also demanding that men be over 6 feet tall, well endowed, have an athletic build, and make that 6-figure income.
And tell them that they're strong and independent, that they think that their degrees are impressive, that, they can go on all these girl trips, that buy them presents and read their minds. Because I've heard from several of you who are like, I'm over 6 feet tall, I'm handsome, I have over, 6 figures, and yeah. But if you don't kiss up to them and tell them, how interesting their job is, and do probably come home and cook them dinner, you're gonna get, they're gonna say no to you too.
When she gets bored, she just takes half of what he has and moves on to the next guy.
Yep.
And if there are kids involved, it doesn't have to be his kids either. Equality is only for the benefits, but those that are actually equal are non-existent in family courts.
At the end of the day, like it or not, your kids belong to the state. And when you get divorced and you're married by the state's like, oh, no, 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 we're going to decide who has custody and all the details. And it's, birth certificates and ID numbers and stuff. The state wants your children. They want to own your children. They want to teach your children. They want to do universal daycare.
Which still use those older traditional family structures to determine a housewife isn't capable of working. We know what marriage could be, what it was supposed to be. We didn't change the rules of the game, and we didn't cheapen it to mean just one day to prance around in a disposable big money wedding dress either. It is this knowledge in the face of prevailing pop culture attitudes that has rendered us indifferent to the proposition of marriage. One reason is that flapping heads dance around and ignore every time the subject is brought up. Men are not done, to be honest. It's just that there are no ladies left anymore.
Exactly.
Women do not want to submit to the order of life. Then you have weak men who allow the woman to...
Aha! I saw it. Women don't want to submit to the order of life. In my opinion, I'm not putting words in Man React's mouth. God, man, woman, child.
Run all over them and dominate and lead. Women resent that. Media, of course, does not help but adds fuel to the already fire. And when you talk about the justice system, how can you let the fate of your life rest in the hands of a single person? Justice in the hands of a single judge? Ruining the lives of the children and the man, these judges should be taught some humanity too, before giving them the authority to decide a divorce. But you know what? Why should I or anyone be with someone who only sees me as a transaction? She won't cook for me, she won't clean up, and she won't provide me children that are mine. Yet she will expect me to pay most, if not all, of the costs of living, and she will nag and browbeat me into doing what she thinks I'm obligated to do for her. And then, there's a greater than 50% chance that she will divorce me and cost me even more money. All throughout history, we continue to change and evolve to fit our environment. This is no different. Marriage is dead, and that's okay. Avoiding pain, suffering, and one's ability to live peacefully is paramount to one's survival. It's a new era for men. It's time for men to evolve with the new times. It's not hatred, and it's not being unkind. It's a matter of survival. It's not about revenge. Don't keep up hope that anything will change back to what it was. It won't. That ship has sailed. Be strong, be at peace, be men. And you know what? With these declining marriage rates, modern women could change this overnight. Become fit, feminine, and friendly, and bring a prenup to the table protecting a man's assets and resources if there is a divorce.
Amen to that. And we do. Not that I'm a modern woman, but women who get it, as I was saying in the last video, women who get it need to call out the worst women. Call it out and keep pushing this content out so the women finally get it through their heads. What's going on with the men? It's not unkind. It's not against women at all. Men love women. It's just that there aren't any out there anymore. That whatever these females are doing, it's just not women. And they can call it that all they want. They can say, yes, it is. This is a new time. Times have changed. Well, times have changed, but you know what? Truth doesn't. Truth doesn't change. So, yeah, he's exactly right. He's exactly right.
Women, show good faith and that you are not just there for his current and future assets. Strong families are the foundation of any society. Hedonism always takes its toll. Women do not mature faster than men. They excel at social dynamics, and social dynamics are heavily rewarded through middle and high school, whereas nothing men excel at is rewarded. So men, build yourselves up. Build your family. Work to solidify your families. That's the only way to save our society from crumbling from within. The only time in life a relationship is of value to a man is if it is with the mother of his children, for the purpose of raising those children in a safe, kind, functional environment. To do that, you need a woman who is nurturing, selfless, pure, youthful, and loyal. If you even manage to find a woman like that in modern society, you still should not marry them. Live together, but offshore your assets and place them in the custody of a family member you can trust.
Exactly. Exactly. He is so right. Make it so there's no access to them. Take that off the table. I will go one further and say, if you get into a relationship like this, what he's saying is right. Don't sign a government contract. The government has nothing to do with it. Don't let them in with that. But also do a contract between the two of you, not only saying, there's no taking his assets, but also if you're going to order your relationship in as a traditional one, I should say conservative one, where she has responsibilities in and around the home, real responsibilities. If there's a dynamic between the two of you where one of you submits to the other one, it makes the big decisions, make a contract for all of these things so that later, if she decides to get upset or what have you, you have this, it's down on paper. And ask all the questions of her, all the hypothetical questions. And, veto if there's one tattoo. If you do that, you might be able to have a long-term relationship with a woman that lends itself and is conducive to family. But I think those are all the things you have to put in place to protect it. And I'm sure you guys are thinking right now, well, there's no woman that'll do that. Well, then you don't do it. But if you think you found one, say, I'm not getting married by the state. I'll promise to God and to you, but I'm not promising to the government. I mean, you think about that, that's ridiculous. Government. Thou shalt have no other gods before me, and one of them shouldn't be government.
If the woman will not commit to this agreement in place, even when you are providing for the needs of the family, then she is the wrong person. Unless you're a masochist, there isn't a single reason for wanting to get married, and you just have to look around to see how it ends. At best, you come out mentally broken and impoverished.
Yeah.
At worst, you're left with nothing. Seeing how the situation is, I am not surprised that men are saying no to marriage. Men are saying no to gold-digging, narcissistic vampires who bleed them dry economically, mentally, and physically.
Wow.
They are saying no to a society that does not encourage or value the traditional family structure. Men are saying yes to attaining personal success, peace, happiness, and tranquility. Blessings to all the men who have woken up to reality and have put value on themselves. Men, in particular, young men, have seen their dads, brothers, uncles, cousins, and other males get annihilated by marriage and divorce.
Yep.
So you cannot blame this new smart generation of men who are avoiding this terrible pitfall at all costs. Marriage is on life support or near death in America, and until the laws change, don't expect a resurrection anytime soon. Let's not ever forget that a man can get by on very little. They are required to work harder to maintain a woman. This extra work has to be worth the effort. Thanks for watching Man Reacts. Show us your love and support by liking this video, sharing it with your friends, and subscribing to the channel. Support us and help us spread support for men around the world. Do comment and share your thoughts. We're always up for a healthy debate and discussion.
Excellent. The original video, the link to this video will be in the description. And if you aren't subscribed to Man Reacts, please subscribe to his channel and like the original video. He does good work. I don't know, this might be my favorite video so far, but that's just my personal view because of everything that Man Reacts shared about the proper order of things, the origin of marriage, what it should be. He is 100% on point. He's an advocate for men. He's a voice for men. He makes his point so well, and he's 100% correct with these facts. And it's really important, I think, for this message to be explained in such a way that it's a lot harder for women to act like a victim about it. And when it's just explained matter-of-factly, and you use their language sort of against them, that, hey, men are allowed to have expectations, men are allowed to have preferences, men are allowed that, and this isn't what they want. That's the one thing that, how are they going to argue with that? Because they want to have all their preferences and expectations. And they can ask themselves, how's that working for you? How's it working for you? These 5s that are women are not getting the 8s, 9s, and 10s to marry them because they don't have to. They don't want to, you know? So if women want anything better, they're going to have to get on board. And it's just a matter of waiting to see when will they realize that that's the case. And I do think that a few are. I know that there have been more women in the comments on these videos that I make, and that's exciting to me because certainly in the beginning, the comments were all calling me a pick-me and, you know, that kind of thing. And now it's just kind of little comments showing me that they are allies and that they see it. So I am hopeful that that will grow because women have to call out the other women. It's on us. It's our responsibility. They're not going to listen to you guys. They're not, but they might listen to us. And I said it a few years ago when I started getting more involved in the whole men's rights thing. I said they're not going to listen to men. They're going to listen. The women are only going to listen to the women if they listen to the women. But that's the only people they're going to listen to. So it's on us, and it's a responsibility. It's a duty that we have. We owe it to you guys. We owe it to you guys, to our fathers, our brothers. I don't have sons, but to the sons, you know, we should do it. So I want to thank Man Reacts again for a great video, bringing these things to light, and being such an important voice. And thank you guys for watching. I really appreciate you. I hope that you have fed your souls today on this Saturday. I hope you are protecting your peace. And I will see you guys on the next one. Bye.